let's just jump right into this explainer because today we're looking at the ultimate culinary underdog story. When you order your Friday night takeout, you probably think of pizza as this universally beloved, super convenient treat. But we're gonna completely reframe that picture right now. Because pizza, it didn't begin as a luxury, it wasn't even a middle-class staple, it began fundamentally as desperate, absolute poverty food. Okay, let's dive into it. $150 billion. That is the staggering annual value of the global pizza market today. I mean, it's ordered from supercomputers in our pockets and delivered right to our doors in minutes. And we're starting with this massive number just to firmly establish the incredible peak of this rags to riches journey. Because to truly appreciate how far pizza has come, you have to understand exactly what it was born out of. So let me drop you directly into Naples in the 1830s. It was one of the most overcrowded, miserable cities in Europe, a place where cholera was just tearing through the slums. In 1835, the famous French novelist Alexandre Dumas actually walked through these exact alleys and noted how the destitute survived. He observed that you could literally read a family's fortune in their pizza toppings. A bad week? Well, that just meant plain dough brushed with oil. A slightly better week meant a smear of tomato. And a genuinely good week might bring a tiny scrap of cheese or maybe a little fish. It was literally nothing but flattened bread and scraps for people who had absolutely nothing else. It was the ultimate poverty food, mostly because it required minimal ingredients and absolutely no fancy kitchen equipment to prepare. Section 1. Ancient Survival Bread, 10,000 Years of Necessity. This story goes back way further than you might think. Try 10,000 years ago in the ancient Near East mudflats. People mixed wild wheat and water into a really simple survival paste. You didn't need a kitchen, you didn't need a fridge, you just baked it on a hot stone, and it meant your family actually survived the winter. Fast forward to 16 BCE, and the Romans had Cato the Elder describing a layered flatbread called placenta. But the real kicker here is in 997 CE in Gaeta, Italy. This is the very first recorded use of the actual word pizza. And it wasn't even a menu item. A local bishop was owed 12 pizzas as literal rent payment. Yeah, the word pizza was used as debt currency centuries before a single tomato ever showed up in Europe. Section 2. The poisonous tomato paradox. How poverty saved the recipe. So the truly crucial point here is what happened when the tomato actually arrived in Europe from the Americas in the 1520s. Almost nobody wanted to eat them. Botanists realized they were part of the deadly nightshade family, so everyone stayed away. But there was this bizarre, almost absurd paradox at play. See, wealthy aristocrats ate off really expensive, lead-heavy pewter plates. The highly acidic tomatoes would sit on these plates, leach out the lead, and cause genuine, sometimes fatal, lead poisoning. So the rich kept poisoning themselves and blaming the fruit, even calling it a wolf peach. But the Neapolitan poor? They ate off cheap, splintered wooden plates that leached absolutely no lead. Poverty literally acted as a chemical shield. The poor safely married the misunderstood tomato to their ancient flatbread simply because they were way too poor to afford the plates that were killing the rich. Fast forward to the 1700s, and the urban poor of Naples, known as the Lazzaroni, relied heavily on this new tomato-topped flatbread. They were working physically brutal hours, and practically none of them had kitchens of their own, which completely explains why pizza became their ultimate fast food. I mean, they needed something cheap, filling, and capable of being eaten standing up in the street. But because it was eaten exclusively by the most destitute working classes, pizza carried a heavy, heavy stigma. The wealthy Neapolitans looked at it in sheer disgust. They basically considered it a vulgar, greasy hygiene risk. For well over a century, polite society absolutely wouldn't dare go near it. Section 3. Stigma and immigrant struggles. Crossing the ocean. Now, in 1889, legend says Queen Margherita tried a local pizza, giving it her royal name and, slightly opening the door for its acceptance. But the real transformation required an ocean crossing. Between 1880 and 1920, 4 million Italians migrated to the United States, carrying their recipes right along with them. But they faced a pretty brutal reality. Italian immigrants encountered severe xenophobia and were often classified as a completely distinct, inferior category by the press. This hostility even turned deadly, like the horrific mass lynching of 11 Italians in New Orleans in 1891. Trapped in this climate of deep suspicion and violence, their food was scorned all over again by a brand new upper class. So for decades, pizza remained strictly confined to immigrant neighborhoods, totally dismissed by mainstream America as nothing more than a garlicky foreign curiosity. Section 4. The Industrial Triumph. Mechanizing the Boom. things finally shifted during World War II. American soldiers stationed in Italy encountered pizza in bombed-out cafes and came home craving it. But cultural taste alone doesn't build an industry, right? Machinery does. So here's the formula. Step 1. In 1945, a guy named Iron Nevin invents the gas-fired pizza oven, completely eliminating the need for specialized coal ovens and years of fire-tending experience. Step 2. Food scientists engineer low-moisture, part-skin mozzarella. Fresh buffalo milk spoils in a matter of days, but this new industrial cheese could sit on a shelf and travel safely across state lines. And Step 3. Fast delivery models are born, driven by pioneers like Domino's with their famous 30-minute guarantee. This exact scientific and business formula stripped pizza of its old-world limitations and allowed motivated entrepreneurs to basically replicate it anywhere. And this mechanization pushed straight into the American household. The rise of frozen pizza in the late 1950s, which was pioneered by brands like Totino's, meant you didn't even need a pizzeria or a delivery driver anymore. It brought pizza directly into the home oven, officially making it one of the absolute cheapest and most accessible foods in America. Section 5. The Global Pizza Boom. Re-exporting an icon. Once the United States industrialized this former peasant dish, they suddenly began re-exporting it globally, and this is where it really becomes a blank culinary canvas for the entire planet. American chains expanded internationally, and local cultures just painted right over the template with their own tastes. So in Japan, you'll find pizza topped with corn, mayonnaise, and squid. In Brazil, it's super popular to use hearts of palm or even chocolate and banana on dessert pizzas. Over in India, paneer and tandoori chicken are standard. Honestly, these combinations would have completely baffled the original Neapolitan street vendors, but it proves that pizza had stopped being just an Italian or American thing. It became a truly universal food format. And back in the US, the very country that once met the creators of this food with deep suspicion, the modern consumption scale is just monumental. The US alone consumes roughly 3 billion pizzas every single year. When you actually break that down, it averages out to 23 pounds of pizza per person annually. And yes, that includes infants. Now, have you ever heard of the Pentagon Pizza Index? It is this informal indicator tracked by journalists and government watchers. Basically, when late-night pizza deliveries suddenly spike at US federal buildings, it's used as a signal that a major national or geopolitical crisis is impending. Talk about irony, right? A food born in absolute squalor, originally sold for pennies to dock workers, is now actively tracked by analysts as a geopolitical signal. But hey, if you want to talk about reaching the absolute peak of the rags to riches journey, you have to look at the year 2001. Pizza Hut actually paid to have its logo put on a Russian rocket and delivered a specially prepared pizza to astronauts living on the International Space Station. Just think about that for a second. A dish that literally started as survival paste in ancient mudflats officially left a planet as a multi-million-dollar piece of corporate advertising. No way, right? So we're wrapping up this explainer, but I want to leave you with a provocative thought. What would the wealthy Italians of the 1830s, the ones who considered this food a vulgar hygiene risk entirely unfit for a civilized table, what would they think of their most despised street food literally orbiting the earth? It is for sure the ultimate rags to riches victory. Next time you grab your Friday night takeout, just remember the millennia of necessity, stigma, and wild innovation baked right into that crust. Thanks for joining us for this explainer. I really hope it leaves you just a bit amazed by your everyday dinner.